My name is Jenny Pratt. I was born in the summer of 1970, right here in Carlsbad, California. I was a beach girl through and through. My parents, Diane and John, were teachers at heart. My mom a librarian, my dad a science teacher. They gave my brother, Michael, and me a childhood filled with books, curiosity, and the constant salty smell of the Pacific Ocean, just a few blocks from our front door. I found my voice early. At Laguna Riviera Elementary, and then at San Dieguito High, I was the girl in the school plays. I loved the feeling of becoming someone else, of telling a story under the bright lights. I even did a little modeling for local boutiques. My boyfriend, Curtis, he was my best friend. He used to say I had an infectious zest for life. We were inseparable. I aced my midterms, I was starring in a production of Grease, and I had a summer modeling audition in Los Angeles lined up. My future wasn't just bright, it was blinding. But a story can change in a single, silent moment. My story was stolen from me on the night of April 25th, 1987. It was a Saturday, just after 10 p.m. Curtis and I had borrowed a friend's motorcycle, a Harley-style bike, for a quick ride to clear our heads after a long week. The air was cool, the streets were quiet. We came to a stop at the intersection of Montgomery Avenue and College Boulevard. It was a dimly lit spot, just one street lamp casting a weak orange glow. That's when we saw the dust. A white pickup truck, a Ford F-150, sped up behind us. It drew level with us, and time seemed to slow down. Curtis would later tell the police what he saw, because I couldn't. He saw 3 teenagers, 2 boys and a girl, laughing in the truck bed. He heard a voice, a taunt that would haunt him forever. Watch her head spin. And then, from the passenger window, a figure hurled a 6.5-foot piece of 2x4 lumber. It was a perfect, brutal arc, aimed directly at my head. Curtis said the impact sounded like a gunshot. I don't remember the sound. I don't remember the pain. My last memory is the feeling of the wind, and the freedom of the open road. Then, nothing. The next part of my story, it's not mine anymore. It's pieced together from police reports, hospital records, and the shattered memories of my family and Curtis. Paramedics arrived within 7 minutes. Curtis, despite a glancing blow to his own shoulder, was cradling my head. I was unconscious. They stabilized my neck, loaded me onto a stretcher, and called for a helicopter. A Bell helicopter landed on the high school football field, the same field where I'd cheered at games, and airlifted me to Scripps Memorial Hospital in La Jolla. There, neurosurgeons performed an emergency craniectomy. They had to remove part of my skull to relieve the pressure on my brain. The official report was grim. A severe skull fracture, bone fragments had penetrated my brain tissue. The doctors told my parents, Diane and John, that my brain had effectively shut down. They gave me hours, not days, to live. But somehow, I held on. My body fought. After 48 hours in intensive care, my vital signs strangely improved. I was transferred to a neurological ward. A CT scan showed the bleeding had stopped. The doctors told my parents that while large areas of my frontal lobe were irreparably damaged, there was a chance. But they warned them, the daughter they knew, the vibrant, charismatic girl, was likely gone. If I woke up, I would be someone different. While my body was fighting its battle in that hospital room, another battle was beginning outside. The Carlsbad Police Department, led by Sergeant Jim Byler, treated my case as attempted murder. Crime scene technicians found the 2x4. It was soaked in my blood. But there were no clear fingerprints, no tool marks, just smudges. It was a clean weapon. Officers canvassed the neighborhood. They distributed photos of the white Ford F-150. They interviewed more than 30 teenagers from my high school, from my town, and they hit a wall of silence. You see, Carlsbad was a tight-knit beach community, and that loyalty, that pride, became a barrier. Parents discouraged their kids from talking, rumors swirled, but no one would point a finger. The community, in many ways, chose to protect its secrets over seeking justice for me. My parents, desperate for answers, hired a private investigator in 1988, a man named Louie Crisafi. He did his own reenactments. He determined that the board had to have been thrown from the truck bed, not the tailgate. He gathered rumors of a scuffle between Curtis and some classmates at a school dance. Under pressure, Curtis finally gave him names, 2 boys. But within days, Curtis recanted. He was terrified. He told the investigator he'd received whispered warnings that if he spoke any further, his safety would be in danger. The one person who saw everything was silenced by fear. The last, best lead unraveled. And then the final official door slammed shut. The law itself gave up on me. In California in 1987, the statute of limitations for felony assault was 4 years. By 1991, the window for criminal prosecution had closed. My attackers could never be charged with hurting me. The case was cold. My life, the one I live now, is not the one I planned. I never woke up as the old Jenny. I eventually regained much of my physical ability. I learned to walk again, to talk again, but the person inside was different. For years, I lived in a group home in North County, San Diego. I required 24/7 support. I struggled with short-term memory lapses. My emotions were unpredictable, distant. My mother once said they had to mourn the daughter they lost and learn to love the one who came back. I understand that now. My story was featured on Unsolved Mysteries. It sparked tips, but none that led to justice. Curtis, burdened by survivor's guilt, became a firefighter in Northern California. He told people that the night of my attack inspired him to go into emergency services, and my story? It found its end on January 5th, 2023. I passed away at Bay State Medical Center after a brief illness, but a story doesn't truly end when the person dies. It ends when it's forgotten. Mine is a story of a life not just taken, but erased. Erased by a moment of brutal, senseless violence. Erased by a community that chose silence. Erased by a legal clock that ran out. Someone, somewhere, is living with the truth about that night. They've carried the weight of that 204 for decades. They know who was in that white truck. They know who laughed as they threw a piece of wood that shattered a human life. This is my story. It's the only one I have left. I am telling it now, through the facts that were written down, in the hope that the weight of this truth becomes too heavy for someone to carry alone. For the sake of my memory and for the peace my family never found, please, let this story end with the truth.